All right, chapter 5. We're now inside a large reinforced chamber of sorts, almost like the inside of a submarine. Near us is the door, shut tight. Far away from us along the back wall are all sorts of controls and monitors. It seems clear that this metal door is impenetrable, at least to them. I'm fairly sure that they aren't getting in. Dennis looks like a walking corpse, and I do everything in my power to not let this show in my expression. His face in a grimace, he shouts at me, "To hell with you! What were you thinking?" Blood pools on the floor behind wherever he holds his arm. I say nothing. It's all too much. My brain feels like jelly. "We need to get him some help or he's going to bleed to death," Amy says. We're interrupted by a man's voice booming behind us. "Just what in the hell do you think you're doing?" the man roars. He's an older man who seems to exude power and authority, but he also looks tired and scared. I assume this is Barksdale. He walks over to us from the back recesses of the chamber. "We didn't have a choice," Amy responds. "We had to." "Did you override the locks in the hangar doors?" Barksdale demands. "Yes, I did, but we had to. Do you have any idea what you could have done?" Amy doesn't answer right away. She's furious, but she's also scared and visibly exhausted. "Well, we know who it is." "Who is this?" We'll cut this off. I address my question to Amy, preferring to get my info from her rather than whoever this is. The man doesn't break eye contact with Amy. "Colonel Barksdale, he runs the place," she says, annoyed. "Look, Barksdale," she says, "you can berate me and lecture me all you want when this mess is over, but right now I have a wounded civilian here and, as you can see, several entities trying to get into this room, so if you could actually do something instead of sitting on your throne and yelling at me, that would be great." I'm impressed by her guts and wonder if there's some sort of beef between the two of them. Surely working in a place like this could cause some stress and tension between people. As we wait, I notice a small peephole in the door. I go to it and look out to the things. They're still looking for a way in, but finding no success. I wonder if they can sense or somehow see me through the door. Fuck it, flip them off. They can't see. I can't help myself. I hold up my middle finger to one and smile defiantly. I get a blast of high-pitched sound in response. "You'll be reprimanded for speaking to me in such a way," Barksdale says to Amy. "Reprimand me all you want. I'd like to survive this first." "Cover your ears," Barksdale shouts, walking away towards the far end of the room. "Stay put until you hear back from me." "Thank you," Amy says with fire in her voice. She then turns to me and says, "Better do what the man says." I'm not gonna disagree. I clap my hands over my ears just in time to protect my hearing from the deafening blast. I'm still bleeding, and the sudden movement to cover my ears makes me feel dizzy. Dennis clumsily covers one ear with his hand and one ear with his bandaged arm. When I see the shape he's in, I get myself in check. Compared to Dennis, I'm in tip-top shape. I did that. I took the shot that took his hand off. I need to make all of that mean something. More bursts of a loud explosive noise start ringing out. Looking through the peephole again, I see the core of one of the beasts explode. It vanishes in a puff of smoke and clear liquid. Looking to my left, I see Barksdale in a shooting stance at the far side of the room. He's firing through a small slit in the wall. He's using some high-powered weapon, the likes of which I've never seen. I see a slight movement as the gun kicks, accompanied by a flicker of white light. Immediately, another monster is downed, its tentacles flailing around aimlessly as most of its core is torn through. I instantly feel gratitude and an immense satisfaction in knowing that they're being picked off in such a way. Well, as satisfying as it is, let's rest because we don't know what's happening next. I slide down against the door and simply wait, listening to the occasional patter of what I assume is their blood on the wall. I don't know how much time passes, maybe 5 seconds, maybe 5 minutes, and I don't care. It feels nice to lay down, even with the sensation of blood rushing from my hurt shoulder. When the firing is over, I barely even notice it. Soon after, Barksdale walks back over to our side of the room. "They're all gone," Barksdale says, "and I've resealed the hangar doors." "How'd you kill them like that?" I ask. "Classified weapons that, quite frankly, you have no business being near." Amy gets to her feet and returns to the panel on the wall. "Thanks." "How badly are the civilians hurt?" Barksdale asks. "One is in very bad shape," Amy says. "He's lost a hand and a lot of blood. The other's not too bad. I see a laceration on his back, and that's about it." "Okay, I'll have Strickland get a med kit." "Strickland survived?" Amy asked, sounding cheerful. "Yes, and until you and your friend showed up, I thought we were the only ones. Hang tight, she's on her way." With that said, he retreats to the back back of the room as if he can't stand to be around us. Amy approaches me and looks over. You're in good hands. Strickland will be able to fix you up. Is she a doctor or something? Sort of. She's also a physicist, but oddly enough, she spent time as a trauma nurse in the army. Is Strickland a friend of yours, I ask? Amy chuckles. Yeah, we've known each other for a while. The only woman in a sea of overachieving men. Oh, the only women in a sea of overachieving men. So they must have been the only two. He sounds like a prick, but I'm gonna try to keep it positive, because that's what I've been doing this whole time. I am. We usually have lunch together, she says, and she's helped me out a few tight spots in my career. Within a few seconds, the door behind us opens and a woman appears from back further in the chamber. She enters the room with what looks like a small suitcase. She's dressed in a very basic and drab military getup, complete with a holstered sidearm. My name is Connie Strickland, she says. I can patch you guys up pretty well, but it's going to hurt. She looks closely at Dennis, looking him over with precise care and attention. You're not in the best shape. He responds with a grunt. Seriously, I can fix you up, but only temporarily. You need intensive care for that arm. First things first, though. Strickland pours the liquid over his maimed arm and starts stitching, then wraps his arm with 3 entire spools of gauze. Blood shows through right away. That's the best I can do for now, she tells him, giving a sympathetic frown. I could care less, Dennis mutters. I'm a cripple. Do whatever you want, as though it matters. Strickland then looks to me. Sit down and let's see if we can get your shirt off, she says. I sit down slowly and start unbuttoning my shirt. She has to help me slip it off my shoulders, but we manage. How bad is it, I ask. Bad, she answers. It's almost like a burn, but I've seen much worse. Your friend here, for example. I might as well talk to Strickland, if only to distract from the pain. You're a scientist too? Strickland rolls her eyes as she gathers up a needle and some thread. I was always into fringe science. I started in labs where these eccentric Russian scientists were being funded by the US to work on combining DNA types. I sort of became obsessed with perfecting human physiology while I was a trauma nurse in the army. You were a mad scientist then, I say. I get that a lot, but no, not compared to the stuff we do here. What kind of stuff? It's complicated. Kalmar masses, quantum gravity, crunching things down into their Schwarzschild. I cannot. Radiuses, fun stuff. Yeah, a mad scientist, I say, trying to keep myself calm with dry humor. There are lots of small labs working on the same stuff, she argues. They just don't have our funding. When you guys ran in here, she says, I was horrified. Those barrels outside, I'm not sure if you saw them. Well, if you shot them, it could have been bad. Why, I ask. The gray ones are filled with an experimental fuel that is highly flammable, and the yellow ones contain liquid nitrogen. What? I asked, just laying around? Well, this area is the safest in the building, the most secure. Well, it used to be anyway. And take this, she says, handing me 4 pills. Painkillers. They won't work immediately, but they'll dull the worst of what you're feeling. Are these the best idea, I ask? Won't they make me dizzy or out of sorts or something? All I get in response is an annoyed and determined look. Okay, listen. Dennis got his fucking hand shot off. I'm not about to take painkillers because I know that if I do, it's gonna make me slow. And no, not doing it. Because if Dennis is like, Dennis made it this far with no painkillers, I'm not gonna be like, how about you take those painkillers and give them to Dennis? Not taking them, I'm sorry. Really, I say? I don't want to get lightheaded in case we have to move fast. I can handle it. Your call, Strickland says as she starts working on me. She slathers the wound with some sort of liquid that stings like crazy and I gasp. Ouch. Ouch. Dennis got his hand shot off. Ready to stab me yet? Strickland asks. I'm fine, I hiss. I wince as she dabs at my eye, swollen from where Marcus kicked me. Oh yeah, he kicked me. I grit my teeth in pain and try to catch my breath. Dennis comes out of his haziness and tries speaking to Strickland, but his words are slurred. White light from the ground, Dennis says. You think that caused the power outage? Think that brought the monsters out? Could be, Strickland says, but your crew was far enough away from the facility. Or at least we thought you were. Dennis chuckles in a way that makes him sound menacing. Nope, wrong. You thought wrong. So you and Barksdale are the only survivors, Amy asks. It seems that way. Those that didn't disappear into thin air were killed by those things, Strickland says, nodding to the secured door. Hey! I'm so frustrated with Twitch tonight. Do we want to know how many we're kind of saw, let's be real. On our way here, no one else made it. I'm not gonna get into the nitty gritty. Not that I've seen, Strickland says. If anyone else did make it, they're trapped out there with those things. I'm glad to see you. Where were you when it happened? Amy asks. I was in the micro lab on level 2, Strickland replies. Park and O'Brien were in there with me and they just disappeared. It looks like they were being stretched, distorted, and then there was a ball of white light and they were gone. The ball of light just annihilated everything it touched. Would it leave a perfectly round hole? I ask, a light bulb turning on in my head. We saw some of those up at the logging site. Yeah, and I saw a ball of white light too, Dennis chimes in. That was probably the same phenomenon, Strickland replies. Amy looks at the ground like a child that is afraid to ask an adult for something. Finally, she asks, where did they go? We don't know, Strickland says. It could be an infinite number of different dimensions, or even some dimensions that merge and mix together. It could also be a place that exists between dimensions. Barksdale calls it the void. How is that possible? We don't know that just yet, Strickland says. Our understanding of space-time is evolving, especially when you start warping it like we've been doing, Amy adds. That point seems to be the end of the conversation as both women fall quiet. I went through the rest of Strickland's stitching, feeling the tug on my skin, but thankfully no more flowing blood. Finally, Strickland says, you're good to go. She looks over at Dennis one more time. He doesn't so much as stir when she rechecks her work. She's already having to remove the gauze on his wrist as it's soaked through with blood. The wound looks like it's starting to clot, so that's good at least. I stare at the floor as Strickland does what she can. Will he make it? I ask. I'm not a doctor, Strickland says. Not really, but based on the bit I do know, I'd say it's about 50-50 right now. So have you and Barksdale been able to contain all those creatures, Amy asks? Strickland appears shocked, clearly not the reaction Amy was expecting. Contain? Are you nuts? Do you not know what's happening? Amy's eyes widen in fearful confusion. What do you mean what's happening, other than the initial experiment failure? The anomalies are becoming more numerous and further from the source, Strickland says. The casual humor in her voice is now gone. Uh-oh. Anomalies. They were calling them entities. Are they not the same thing? I know what further from the source means. Let's find out what the anomalies are. The doorways, she says, the pockets of exotic matter and negative energy that are letting those things in. The failed experiment caused the first one, but it set off a chain reaction. They're gaining momentum along geodesics emanating from the facility. What the hell does that mean? Dennis asks. It means, Amy chimes in, that those doorways and monsters are starting to appear all over the facility, maybe even the surface. Not yet, luckily, Strickland says, but the doorways will start appearing on the surface and it won't stop there. The anomalies' reach could extend infinitely as far as we know. Those entities will appear on the surface in other states, other countries. Holy shit, I say, you mean the world is going to be overrun? The horror of the past few hours has made me ready to believe anything, but this is almost too much. Unfortunately, yes, Strickland says. My God, Amy says, stepping away. Isn't there anything we can do? There is a last resort, Strickland says, her eyes darting over to Barksdale at the back of the room. There's an emergency failsafe switch. What? Amy says. I never heard of that. Where? You weren't cleared for it, Strickland replies. And that switch, Amy says, is a way to stop this? Yes, Strickland says, seeming uneasy with the conversation. Well, obviously, she's been stuck in here with Barksdale, who's being a prick. So we know why she hasn't clicked it already. So what does it do? The switch is our eraser, she says. It destroys the entire facility and terminates any systems or experiments that are being conducted. It is also an emergency shutdown for the interdimensional travel. It puts an event horizon around the facility. What the hell is that? I ask, incredulous. It's the perimeter of a black hole, she replies, the boundary inside which nothing can escape, not even light. But there's two problems with hitting the switch. So the first problem is we'd all be killed, sucked into a black hole before we'd have time to evacuate. The second reason, Strickland whispers, suddenly quiet, is that Barksdale won't allow it. What? Amy gasps. Why not? He wants to allow those things to flood the surface? Thousands, millions will die. Strickland puts her hand up, silencing Amy. They both peer over to the far side of the room where Barksdale has his back turned. I know, he says. He doesn't care. He says he'll be happy to be rid of the oversight so he can continue his work. The oversight, Amy almost screams, regaining control over her voice when Strickland gives her another look of warning. You mean our government, I ask? He's aware this could disrupt, even topple our government, and he doesn't care? Strickland sighs. Barksdale is, well, he's off the range right now. He's gone rogue, and he's armed. This comment makes me look toward a shotgun I brought in with me. I'd nearly forgotten it in the last few moments. While Barksdale has his back turned to us, I take it in my hands and slide it behind me. Just in time, too, as Barksdale walks over from the back of the room to our side of the chamber. He gives Strickland a suspicious look before speaking to her. Are the two civilians going to survive? He asks. Dennis chuckles at this, and I'm relieved to see that his eyes are open. He gives a lazy thumbs up. One is stitched up and good to go, but the other one here is in bad shape. He needs immediate medical attention. Understood, Barksdale says. Amy, it's quite nice to see that you have survived, he says. Were there any others? The aloof way this asshole's talking to us is getting under my skin. A guy named Marcus that works on the first level. From IT, Amy says. That's all I know for sure. Marcus Pabscott, Barksdale says. Where is he? I killed him. He put us in an impossible situation, I say. I was forced to kill him. Barksdale raises one of his eyebrows and lets out a smile. Yes, we're often forced to do unspeakable things for survival. Tell me, have you ever killed before? No, I answer, but he lost his mind. He was violent and... Careful, Barksdale says, with something like dark humor in his voice. You've just admitted to killing a federal employee. Barksdale seems to think about something and looks directly at me. You're with the logging crew, aren't you? Remind me, how did you get in here again? We were searching for our crew. I mean, that's the truth. Makes sense. The cloaks for the entrance shed are tied to a primary source, Barksdale says, and we lost primary power just before the experiment failed. Cloak, I ask? Yes, Strickland says. The shed you entered is usually not visible to the naked eye. Depending on the power sources that were damaged, Barksdale continues, it could have also shut down the locking systems before backups kicked in. Everything is starting to make sense now. From the very start, it seemed peculiar that we'd so easily been able to walk into a place like this. Where's the rest of our crew? Maybe he saw them. Your crew, Barksdale asks. Frank and Joe? They're gone. Gone? Gone where? Dennis asks, his voice trembling. They were annihilated by antimatter pockets created during the failure, a bright ball of light. In the aftermath, all you'd see would be a round hole in the ground. Barksdale says this like he's sharing yesterday's sports scores. I let my face crumble into my hands. I had suspected this, all this time, and they were already dead. Behind me, Dennis lets out the beginning of a sob. Damn it, he mutters over and over. Well, what caused it to fail? Your crew hit one of our main power lines. We aren't sure exactly how, but we know that's what did it. You're trying to blame all this on me, I roar. The timing was unfortunate, Barksdale says. So, Amy asks, what do we do now? Now it's time to continue our work, Barksdale says calmly, turning away to the instruments on the near wall. Okay, well, we all already know he's insane. I'm not gonna provoke him. This guy sounds like a complete lunatic, but he's a lunatic that's accustomed to power and armed with some type of advanced weaponry. So I keep my intentions unspoken, assuming Barksdale is used to going unchallenged by people he considers beneath him. He certainly seems like that type. I want to continue my work, Barksdale muses. Other researchers will eventually discover what we have, sure, but I want it to be me. This is my laboratory, these are my experience. The work I've led here will earn me my place in history, and quite frankly, I don't need to explain it to you. Up on the surface, they'll struggle to defend themselves since they won't know what they're dealing with. I have the necessary weapons. After a few months, who knows? Maybe I'll decide the world is ready for me to help them, and we'll go from there. He turns his back to us as he says this, walking to the far side of the chamber like we're some kind of distraction. Amy takes this opportunity to whisper to us. We need to hit that switch, she says. It's the only option. What he's saying is murder, treason, genocide. She looks over to Strickland for support, trailing off, but Strickland looks at the ground, clearly torn. She won't look anyone in the eye and makes an effort not to look at Barksdale. He seems distracted with whatever instruments he's studying on the far side of the room. At this moment, I realize my body feels like a bomb went off inside it. Maybe those painkillers wouldn't have been so bad. Strictly finally whispers a response. Even if we decide that we want to hit that switch, Barksdale won't allow it. Do I want to put this on her? I don't want to put this on her. It's not, I mean, oh. To hell with him. Amy agrees. Where is the switch located, she asks. There's an elevator out in the hangar, Strickland says. Take it to the basement. The switch is at the end of a long tunnel. But Strickland never finishes. Two things happen at once as she speaks, her mouth stopping in mid-sentence. First, a loud booming noise rings out, and then the top of her head seems to explode. Amy screams out in surprise, and Dennis and I jump back in shock as Strickland's body collapses beside me. Behind her fallen body, Barksdale's holding his experimental rifle, and now he's pointing it at us. Holy shit, he just killed her. I wonder if Barksdale's even crazier than Marcus. He just shot a woman that worked for him to keep her quiet. Surely he won't have an issue with killing me. Now, Barksdale yells, no more whispering, no secrets, you three will stay in here and get away from that door. If anyone whispers one more thing, I'll blow your heads off. My mind is racing to figure out a way to get through the secured door and onto the hangar. Beyond that, of course, there was a fail-safe switch. Make a distraction, and Amy will pick up on it. She's smart. I try my best to be a good actor as I wobble on my feet a bit. I stop, start forward again, and then wobble some more. Amy is apparently catching on because she's at my side in a second. She looks over to Barksdale and says, he's lost a lot of blood. Let me check his wounds really quick. After he dared to talk to me like that? He's been through a lot, she argues. He's clearly delusional. Dennis seems to not quite know what's going on, but luckily Barksdale isn't paying attention to him. You can check him back here, Barksdale says. You have 30 seconds to get away from that door, or I will. I stretch out my acting skills and actually stumble to a knee. I make a show of trying to get to my feet and stand still for a moment. I'm okay. I say I'm okay. As quickly as I can, I raise my gun and fire. I don't even take aim. I just fire in Barksdale's general direction. Barksdale takes off running as my shot misses wide. He runs for cover to the back of the room. That's all we need. Amy also fires a shot to keep him under cover as we head for the door. Amy pushes a button and the door swings open. Barksdale will be on us in a second, so we dash out onto the hangar ready to defend ourselves. Oh shit, he's gonna be shooting out there with all the stuff though. That's not good. All three of us run as fast as we can through the rows of barrels. Right away, though, Barksdale's gunfire separates us. I hear a shot hit nearby as I dive down and realize that neither Dennis nor Amy is with me. I hear Amy cry out from elsewhere in the barrels. Peering around the barrel closest to me, I can see Dennis. He's crawling slowly on the floor 2 rows away from me. Seeing him move so slowly, I can't imagine how he's finding the strength to do even that. Stop this nonsense, Barksdale yells at us. I've got a good mind to shoot the fuel and kill all of you. It's then that I realize that not getting away from these barrels may be our death sentence. Uh-oh. Tell them to get away. Before I can do anything, a shot comes from the isolation chamber. It's immediately followed by a pinging sound and a massive wall of heat. I feel the heat before I feel the force of the explosion. It occurs several rows ahead of me, and I can still feel the physical push of it. I hear Dennis scream and then the clanging of metal. That's when another barrel explodes, and then another. I realize that I could run back and help or try to get myself clear. I might not have enough time to do either before the next round of eruptions. What the hell should I do? Oh God. Run back and help. My instinct to help overcomes my instinct to survive. If I don't help them now, the exploding barrels will leave Dennis and Amy as good as dead. I turn and start heading their way, but I'm not quick enough. Another barrel blows up between us and throws me back across the hangar floor. My face and arms scream with the unimaginable pain of deep burns as I've lifted from the ground and tossed forward by the explosion. I slowly muscle myself up off the ground and try to regain my footing. My entire body feels sore, begging me to just stop. When I look back for Dennis and Amy, the scene is not promising. Neither of them seems to be able to move on their own. Dennis is lying flat on his face, unmoving. Amy is about 20 feet away from him. She's wailing in pain and clutching her leg. Behind them, I can see Barksdale looking for a shot through the fire and evaporated liquid nitrogen. I fire off a single shot just to get him to duck back down. I look back out at Dennis and Amy and see the fire nearing the fuel barrels. I can maybe keep Barksdale pinned down long enough to pick them up one by one and help them back to the elevators, but more barrels could blow any moment. I might only have time to save one of them. Oh, shit! Oh, no. Well, I've wanted to try to save Dennis this whole time, and I feel like if I just leave him now, everything I've done to save him, shooting off his hand, dragging him here with me in the first place, all of that is for nothing if I just leave him to die now. Amy doesn't know where the switch is any more than Dennis does. Like, she just... Oh, why is it gotta make me choose? Oh no. I want to make it out of here with Dennis. Dennis is my man. Dennis is my buddy. I've done everything to help Dennis. I'm taking Dennis. I'm sorry, Amy. I gotta help Dennis first. I take a deep breath and sprint back out into the open among the fire and the heat. Right away, I start taking blind shots at Barksdale. He fires back only once and the shot goes off into the growing flames around me. I take one more shot and then reach down for Dennis. He's basically dead weight at this point. He's almost too heavy for me. My wounded shoulder screams in pain as I get him to his feet. He's almost... Oh. Why did it repeat it? I drag him back, narrowly avoiding the fire and death. I try shooting at Barksdale, but trying to aim the gun while carrying Dennis proves to be too much. Barksdale gets a single shot off as we round the corner toward the elevator waits. I set Dennis down and he's still unresponsive. Drenched in sweat, I reel around and head back out to get Amy. I only make it a single step before I see her. I open my mouth to call out to her, but an explosion right beside her cuts me off. She's shoved hard to the left from the force of the explosion. I run to help, but Barksdale's firing again at me. I give Amy one last regretful look and then rush back to the elevator and Dennis. My nerves are drenched in fear and adrenaline. When I reach out to press the call button on the elevator, it feels like I'm watching someone else do it. As Dennis and I step inside, the motors in the elevator squeal like dying dogs. It's an old service elevator made of wood and metal, like something from a coal mine. As the elevator slides down, the light from the flames give way to complete blackness, and now it's just me and Dennis once again. It hurts my heart. I wish they didn't make me choose. I feel so bad. I lose track of how long the elevator descends. It's hard to tell due to the lack of lighting, but it must go another 500 feet underground. The elevator comes to a stop with a shuddering clang, and I waste no time exiting. A tunnel stretches out with sparse white bulbs lighting the way. Most of the wall is made of raw earth and rock, but there are boards and concrete slathered in areas used to reinforce the tunnel. I see a warning sign posted on the wall. I want to read it, but there's not much time. Read it. Maybe it's important. Warning, authorized personnel only beyond this point. Trespassers will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Absolutely no exceptions. Well, that shit doesn't matter now. Well, glad we got that out of the way. Now everyone is dead. After only a few steps, the pain in my body intensifies. How stupid was I to turn down those painkillers? I look up, and when I see that the tunnel ceiling is less than 6 inches over my head, claustrophobia freezes me for a moment. The ceiling is not high, and there's barely enough room for Dennis and me to walk side by side. His eyes are half closed, and he looks on the verge of passing out again. It's okay, I tell him. We're almost done. A little further, okay? His head shakes and says, I'm sorry, Roger, but I don't think I can go any further. I lower him to the floor as easy as I can and let him rest. I'll be back, I tell him, hoping it's true. The switch should be down here somewhere. I give Dennis one last look and then start down into the tunnel ahead of me. I look up, and when I see that the tunnel ceiling is less than... Oh, that's the same line. Still, it's much better than facing the monsters above me. I wonder then, walking through the darkness, where they came from. Is the portal still open? I keep walking into the darkness, and within 5 minutes, the glow of the red light from the elevator is diminished. It's almost completely dark. I hold the gun in one hand and reach out to touch the wall with my other. Feeling the gun in my palm anchors me to reality, to sanity. I'm not in some boundless abyss, but still in the real world. For a little while longer, at least. I recognize that I'm marching to my end. As much as I wish I weren't, it's not surprising. From the moment I saw what those creatures could do to time and space, at least a part of me knew that death was inevitable. Before I have time to wonder what will happen, I see a light ahead. It's nothing more than a speck of blue light, but in the darkness of the tunnel, it's like a lighthouse on a stormy sea. I slog forward, my eyes straining to focus on that little light ahead. From somewhere ahead, I start to hear something that sounds like water. It is trickling lightly like a leaky faucet, and behind that there's something that sounds like wind, a light breeze to an open field, and a voice. Anywhere else, the sounds would have been pleasant, but here in the blackness of the tunnel, they're menacing. I mean, I've been yelling out this whole time. My voice doesn't echo like it should in this small space. This weirds me out even more than the lack of a response. I cock my head trying to concentrate and then realize that I can see the tunnel walls now. This is odd, as I wasn't able to see them a few seconds ago. This is different from the blue light at the end of the tunnel. It's then that I see the slight shimmering in the air. It looks like a foggy mirror steamed over after a shower, and it's moving, dancing in the air like some abstract firefly. It's not menacing like the creatures, so that threat is null. It's peaceful, serene. I watch as the shimmer branches out and becomes 2, and then 3, then 4. They snake out in different directions, tracing the tunnel walls. Are these shimmers the doors to another dimension that Strickland was talking about? Suddenly I'm surrounded by light above and below me and realize there's no avoiding it. The question is, how am I going through? Going head first. Feet first, head first. I stick my head through and feel a tingling sensation, almost pleasant. I reach out slowly, my hand stretching out to one of the shimmers of what I can only assume are some kind of light. They're hypnotizing, so much so that I don't realize the tunnel walls are vanishing. I feel something like wind and a brief electrical pulse pass through me as the lights take me. There's then a very gentle pushing sensation, and I somehow know that I'm being expelled. I've passed through something. Maybe the lights, maybe the tunnel walls, I don't know. But the shimmering lights fade a bit, still dancing in the air but no longer large and branching out. And as my eyes adjust, I see right away that I'm no longer standing in that dark tunnel far beneath the hangar. I have no idea where I am. I'm just somewhere else. And I'm terrified. Uh-oh. Did he just like go through one of the... Oh my god. The ground I land on looks like hot coals. There are dips and many cliffs breaking the landscape ahead of me. There's a wash of orange and blue overhead and a sky that makes no sense. It's both beautiful and terrifying at once. A scattering of stars hang overhead and they all seem to be breathing, pulsing with a gentle energy, as if alive. I can't tell if there are clouds in the sky because everything about it, from the colors to the trembling horizon line, seems to be amorphous. Everything is knitted together, living. I stare a moment longer and I can swear I feel the sky breathing. Far off to my right, I see what looks to be a plume of fire, small yet bright, with no source of fuel. It looks as if the ground itself is creating the flame. Several more of these flames dot the landscape further out. The air is thick and muggy, and then I realize something horrible. I don't know if what I'm breathing here resembles air at all. In a place like this, one of impossible beauty, but also very stark horror, my mind doesn't know what to do. A wave of nausea comes over me, and I think I might be sick. I'm not sure if it would be better to fight it or give in. The white light that brought me here is nowhere to be found. Is anyone else even here? Is there any way to escape? That's okay, Morbid. I've been yelling this whole time. Keep yelling. I take a deep breath of whatever otherworldly gas is filling this place and belt out as loud as I can. Hello? Hello? Is anyone else here? Anyone? I hear a voice in response. It's faint, distant. I turn around and hear it coming out of one of the massive crevices along the ground. Inside of that crack, about 10 feet down, a very pale man lies on a ledge. He's human but looks close to death. He's in the center of a large pool of blood, and his left leg's been twisted and torn in an unnatural way. As I walk to the ledge, he looks up and sees me. "Help me, please," the man says. His eyes are wide, although everything about him speaks of weakness. He's close to death or insanity, or both. Who are you? I'm Dr. Kana. He strains to get out. I work in the facility. Please help. I want to know more, but it seems cruel to steal what look like his last breaths just to answer my questions. I'd love to, I respond, but I don't know where the hell I am or how to get back home. The light, he says, it's a doorway. It might take you back to the facility. Might. I guess I should ask for when. There's no way to know where the doorway is taking you. You could be stuck in another world or between worlds, but it's the only way out of here. I desperately want to help, but there's no way I can reach him. His ledge is too far away, above the pools of fire. I don't think I can get to you, I say. No, that's not what I mean, he replies. His eyes are on the shotgun that I almost forget I'm still holding. I realize what he wants, and I shake my head. I can't. I say I can't do that. Please, he pleads. Those things, they have the others that came here with me. I got dropped along the way. They'll be back, and they'll kill me. That, he says, again indicating the gun, will be quicker, less painful. I can't, I repeat. Please, look at my damn leg. I'm dead anyway. I'm about to refuse him again when I hear an all too familiar static sound out from another crevice behind him. I hear another of those shrill noises and then watch as one of the monsters materializes up out of the neighboring crevice. 2 more come out after it, and then a third, and then 5, then 10. Soon I lose count as what was just a few turns into a flood, and I suddenly understand the man's reasoning. A bullet would be a mercy. I check the gun and see that I have only 1 round left. I can use it on this guy, but I may need it for myself later. From beside me, the man pleads again. My God, he says, a waver of lunacy in his voice. Please. I got you. That's cool. It's alright. That's okay. I've already, you know what? I'm not even thinking about it. I look back to the man and wince. I know it's the right thing to do, but my finger resists. With a roar of disgust, I level the gun towards his head, turn my eyes away, and then pull the trigger. Your aim is true. The man crumples lifelessly to the ground, and that's when I see the shimmers wavering to my right, in the direction I originally came from. I look back to the monsters and see that they have now noticed me. Some of them begin floating up the walls of the crevice. There are less than 10 feet separating us. The shimmers of white light are within arm's reach, its movements reminding me of a fish in an aquarium. I reach out and feel myself accepted by them again. I feel the sensation of wind and wait for the feeling of being pushed out back to the tunnel in the facility. But it doesn't come this time. This time I feel something else. I feel a tugging sensation that seems to want to drag me in all directions at once. As the world goes dark, I realize that I'm somewhere else, and it is not the darkness of the tunnel. This is the darkness of a total void. Oh, no. Oh, no. There's darkness around me everywhere. Nothingness. I feel nothing under my feet, nothing to my sides. I can't touch or sense anything at all. I don't even know which way is up or down. It's as though I'm all that exists. As I remain there, I just hear silence, not even the sound of my heartbeat. The blackness is so deep that I feel I can't distinguish between my thoughts and what is real. I hear screaming, but I can't tell if it's someone else or my mind screaming to fill this void. I hear my own shout in my head, but it doesn't seem to travel out into the abyss. It bounces in my head endlessly, like an echo down a long, ancient corridor. I assume this is the place that Strickland referred to, the place between dimensions. This darkness could consume me if it wanted to. I try to will myself out of it, to have those shimmering lights spit me out, but it isn't happening. At this point, my mind starts to hallucinate, or at least I think it does. Are they visions? My mind playing tricks on me? I can't tell. All I can do is watch. I see the logging site and Tony's leg still pinned under the dozer. I feel a pang of regret that I had left him in such a state. I see myself talking to Dennis, and he looks distraught as I tell him that Tony is gone. Then the scene rearranges itself, and I'm standing between Dennis and Marcus's gun. It changes again, and the shape of Marcus's body appears in front of me, half devoured, a bullet through his head. In my mind, I'm sobbing as I shoot out Dennis's hand, trying to convince myself it was the only way to save him, but he'll never forgive me. I try to let out a scream as Dennis and I watch Amy get blown apart by the barrel's explosions, but there's still no sound. And just when I feel like I can't take any more of this, I see the man in that strange world begging for death. I watch as I take his life just before those beasts reach him. All these things are flooding my mind, and it feels like my brain is vomiting. Yet in the midst of it all, I see what's really important, the switch. In my mind's eye, I see that glowing light in the tunnel, the one far ahead, small and distant. I focus my mind on the tunnel and the image of that flickering light. With a mental effort so strong that it's nearly a physical motion, I make myself envision that little light in the tunnel as if it were right there in front of me. With that, I feel the wind again, a light breeze that seems to come from everywhere. And then with a relief that I can only imagine feels like death, I move forward. Yeah, it was. Hi, Gravy. How are you? The void is super... It was quiet. It was very unnerving for me to read. Amy did die. Yeah, Amy died. I'm ejected from the void and I'm suddenly standing in the tunnel again. I let out a wail of triumph that turns into a bout of weeping. The weeping only intensifies when I see that the light up ahead, a flickering blue light. Oh, when I see that light. Somewhere behind me I hear a crackling noise. I can only hope they haven't reached Dennis, but it's too late to even worry about that. After coming this far, I'm not about to turn back. I feel like I can listen to get a better read on where they are, or I can just make a break for it. Just go. Just go. I don't even bother looking back. There's no time. Instead, I run with all my might straight ahead, my focus on that little blue light ahead of me. As I run, I see a different light, a white one, flickering in my peripheral vision. It's another of those shimmers that go to other worlds. It seems they are appearing and disappearing with more frequency now. Strickland was right. These things could reach the surface soon, unleashing more monsters. This thought makes me refocus on the blue light, the man-made light, the switch. The blue light gets closer, and as it does, I make out a square shape around it. This has to be it. The familiar static scream of the monsters is much closer now. I have to be quick. I grip the gun tightly, regretting my decision to use the last bullet on the man in the other world. Looks like all I'll be using this for is as a bludgeon. I run ahead into the darkness, my eyes locked on the switch that I assume is going to kill not only the creatures but myself as well. As I approach, I see the lever. It's covered by a glass box that I will need to break. The blue light is directly beneath this, highlighting a series of tubes and wires that snake into the inner workings of the device. In the middle is blackness, not like a darkly colored part of the machine, but just a hole in reality. It looks like some sort of illusion. All the while, I can hear the static of the creatures coming up dangerously close now. I have no idea how much time I have. Aww. I hope you get better soon. Let's just hurry through this. I don't even want to waste time. I draw back the stock of the gun and smash through the glass box that houses the lever. The glass shattering is like music to my ears. I reach out for the lever, my hand grasping it. Without warning, I feel immense pain course through my body. It feels like fire racing down my back, causing me to fall to one knee in agony. There's only one of them that I can see. It blasts horrible static noise at me as I ready my gun. With no bullets left, I get ready to use it as a club. I try to strike. The monster bats the gun away, warping it into an S shape, and then follows up by swinging its appendage at me. The sting of its touch forces me back against the side of the cavern, my face striking the wall hard. My jaw crunches and I feel a sharp pain encompass my head. Then the creature is upon me again. Its tentacles melt into me and I scream. I can't help it. I sound like a wild animal. I can try to keep fending them off, or I can go for broke and just focus on the lever. Creatures be damned. Go for the lever. Let's just try to get this over with. Save the world. I put all my strength into my legs. The moment the monster in front of me draws back its eel-like arms to grab me, I pivot backwards. My back strikes the machine, sending agony rocketing through my body. I'm so thankful I broke the glass before this moment, before the coming violence. I stretch out and grab the lever. With one last desperate scream that shreds my voice, I jam it down. The tunnel is suddenly filled with a flash of intense darkness. It expands from the switch, swallowing the matter around it. At first, I'm sure this is the end of me. I expect the darkness to consume me, followed by death, but then another shimmer of dancing white light appears next to me. There are more of those streams of light, rips in space like the ones that previously sent me to that other ungodly world in the void. With nothing else to do but die, I try to escape into the shimmer. When that last stream of light envelops me, the expanding darkness of the switch is gone, and I feel a huge push. Maybe I'll survive in another dimension. Oh god, this doesn't look good. My body feels stretched, collapsing, like I'm falling in all directions at once. The world goes white, and then there are the pinpoints of stars everywhere. One of them breezes directly by my right, and I see something that looks like a spiral galaxy distorted in its folds. To my right, I see an endless stretch of stars and gas clouds, forming some galactic architecture. But beyond the immeasurable beauty, I notice something. I'm seeing the same star patterns over and over. They're repeating like reflections in an endless mirror. Are these different versions of the same galaxies? The same realities? To my left, I see a calm blue world and can barely make out trees. Familiar Kentucky trees that I've been around for the last few weeks. To my right, I see a Cuppy, an orange world, and there are trees there as well, but something is strange, disturbing. As I zoom by, I'm not sure how much control I have in this unusual place, but if I can direct myself, it's worth trying. Okay, so if the orange world is the Cuppy, and the blue world is familiar, then the blue world is probably just going to send me back, right? Like, it's just going to send me back to where I just unleashed a black hole. If I go to the orange world, the one that looks different, maybe I mean, if these things exist in an alternate reality, do I really want to try to survive there? But I feel like if I go to the blue world, then... I mean, the logging site is right by the facility, the black hole. Go for orange because it's different. I want to know how much of the real world the black hole like destroys though. This is a tough decision to make in total silence. After having sound like for the whole game, the silence is so unnerving. Okay, so back at the logging site. How? I'm not sure. Did the shimmers react with the implosion of the switch? Some other accident? I have no idea. I sit up right away and become instantly dizzy. Dennis, I say. I have no reason to think that he survived whatever happened in that tunnel, but there's some sort of certainty that gets me to my feet. I wonder if I am somehow back in time, before we found the facility, but what happens next makes me realize that can't be true. As I start walking forward, I feel a tremor in the ground. Somewhere off in the distance, I hear a metallic groan. The buried facility, it's being ripped apart under the ground by the activation of the switch. There's no way Barksdale survived. Good riddance. I stumble a bit, and when I do, I see the body on the forest floor. Dennis, how is he here? Did he get caught in those shimmers as well? I decide I don't care and scramble over to him. Dennis, can you hear me? Yeah, he says, the slightest twitch behind his eyes, and for the moment, that's good enough for me. To my left, through a tangle of partially destroyed trees and woodland, a pillar of smoke begins to rise into the air. We've made it out of the facility alive, and that, I suppose, is the most important thing. But something feels off in a way that I can't quite explain. It's then, as I look up and notice the sky, that it starts to sink in. Oh. There's something different about it, something not right. That sky does not belong here. It's a sky of oranges and blues, stars pulse in and out as if alive. The colors of the sky seem to breathe, as if they're trying to inhale the tops of the spruce trees. I see those colors all knitted together and living. My stomach rolls and rises up in my throat. What the hell have I done? What have I done? That's it. That's the end. That ending, though, is not what I expected. This story was amazing. Tough it out. You and 64% of players didn't take the painkillers. Who survives? You and 33% of players choose to save Dennis instead of Amy. Mercy. You and 30% of players mercifully killed the man who asked for death. Going home. You and 17% of players headed toward the orange world. So I was in the minority for a lot of those. A lot of people picked Amy. A lot of people saved their bullet. And the vast majority of people went home to blue. I know.
Oh, very
Trixie!
well. Submit to my absolute authority, and we will unite our forces.
Thank you for the host, Trixie. I wish Twitch wasn't being so stupid. I know only 30% of people killed him. That's crazy because, gosh, why would you just leave him? I guess if you were like, because we knew we only had one bullet. So I guess if you were wanting to save that, like, you know, save it. That's true. He's dead either way. But if you, I don't remember. Was it tonight? It was his last request. And they talked about, like, they talked about that guy, like, sending him. He'd been there for a long time. Considering it is a little unrealistic. Considering. If you look at the big picture, but I was being empathetic the entire time. You know, except for when I shot Dennis's hand off. That was just, last ditch effort to save his life. But I mean, he'd already been suffering, but that's true. I mean, if we could see the future, we would know, that, we wouldn't go home. We'd go to an alternate reality where everything's fucked. I liked it, though. It's eerily quiet right now.